I think if you dislike that toxic masculinity, what we need to understand is it's the people who hate that toxic masculinity that are driving these people towards it. So I know this is kind of crazy. So what's happened is this has grown, right? And as it's grown, what have we done? We've demonized these people. We've said these people are bad. And as we demonize them, what's happened? They've grown stronger. So this is something that's very important to understand. If you are a man and you say, I am suffering today, what is the response that you're going to get?
Shut up.
Absolutely.
Not in those exact words, but that's whatever the words are, that's what they mean.
Now, I want us to be very, very careful, right? So if you are listening to Stephen say people tell you to shut up, and your first thought as a listener is, no, that's not true, that's the problem. Men are struggling right now, and the rest of the world says, no, you're not. You're privileged. You're a man. There's a patriarchy. And I'm not commenting on the sociology of it. There is a patriarchy, whatever. Men have many advantages in life. I've experienced many advantages of being a man. It's absolutely true. Let's not go there. I'm talking about the individual experience of men. So there is one group of people on the planet who says, yes, your life does suck. And that's these toxic masculine people. They're the only people that truly validate men's experiences. Because everyone else says, why are you complaining? And these guys say, yeah, you're a fucking loser. What are you going to do about it? Whereas the rest of the world says, no, your life isn't hard. What are you complaining about? And I've seen this as a doctor. I've seen patients who are complaining about pain, women who are complaining about pain because they have an internal bleed within the wall of their uterus that cannot get detected. And they're saying, I'm hurting, I'm hurting, I'm hurting. And we ignore this person's pain. And that's when things go bad. So for years and years and years, we have ignored the struggles of men.
It's so funny that he starts this by saying, that it's kind of crazy, but the people who are against the red pillage and who call it toxic, they're the ones who make it so powerful. They're the cause. It's not kind of crazy. It is crazy. Because what are you talking about? In systems of oppression, the oppressed party is never to blame, is never the cause of said oppression. I agree that more than ever, people are having pushback to these toxic elements of red pill ideology, but it existed before this pushback. In fact, historically speaking, that has been the main ideology. He talks about how we demonize red pillars, just like how we talked about demonizing men's emotions in the previous video. No, they're not neutral. It's objective to look at these horrific behaviors, to look at these behaviors that harm others and say, those aren't good. It is an accurate description. That ideology is based in a system of power and oppression. And so there will always be harm done, specifically to women and even to men. So no, we're not demonizing them by addressing what they are. And it's dangerous to say that. Like, oh, well, you said I hit you. Now I'm an abuser. No, it was when you hit me. Then we get into the whole debate of men are suffering and the response is shut up. And if you think, no, you're not, you're the problem. If you have a bad reaction when you hear that, it's you that's the problem. I actually don't know anyone who says men don't suffer at all. But we don't exist in a vacuum. When violence against women is at an all-time high, when scary ideology is rising, when women are actively losing their rights, and men talk about their suffering in a system that men created, and they're looking often to women to support them, to nurture them, when they believe their suffering deserves the same attention or more attention to loss of life or bodily harm. That access to women being denied to them is suffrage in itself. It is very hard for women to hear that and to not want to bring the context of the entire situation into the conversation. He says red pillars are the only ones that validate men's experience. I call bullshit. I have many male friends, dated men. I validated them the same way I validate anyone. But what I have found is men often only want certain parts of their experience validated. They want their suffrage validated, but they don't want their privilege mentioned. They want to express all their feelings. They don't want any pushback. Do you think women have had their experiences validated? I know you don't, because quickly he tries to compare a man not having his feelings validated to women having medical problems and pain ignored. The fact that he thinks those are comparable. Oh my God. He is weaponizing women's experience of like being medically gaslit, right? To say, see, men also have it hard. That is manipulation. That is purposeful. This entire conversation is incredibly manipulative to get the listener to believe we are demonizing men and we are actually the problem. We need to be stepping up. We need to be hugging these guys. And again, in order to buy into the toxic red pill ideology, you have to be willing to put yourself above women. You have to have negative beliefs about women, or at least for that not to be a deal breaker. So, objectively, these men have bad beliefs. Stay tuned for the next part. Ugh.